What's up, guys? Welcome back to Culture Shocks with
Stefan and Fred.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
This is going to be a really fun one we got for you guys today because these are the types of videos, whenever I make them on my main channel, they're the most interesting for you guys. Like, what is the weirdest aspects of the other country's culture?
Yeah.
So, Fred's got a list of, well, I said 3, but he's trying to get some extra credit.
The thing is, there's just like so many weird things about the U.S.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do I do this? I rolled up today with like 300 things.
I got the most 3 weird things. I might have talked about one of them on my channel before, but I tried to pick some things that are like somewhat new that I haven't talked about a lot.
Good.
So
yeah, you talk about Sweden kind of a lot, right?
kind of a lot, yeah. And
yeah, I got 4 things actually. I got 4 things. I boiled it down to 4 things, and we'll see.
All right, well, you go first because you got more than me.
Wow, look at that.
There you go.
So,
Math.
quick maths. I'm going to start to talk about something rather obvious, which has to do with politics and the electoral college.
Sure.
Because for me, it was really hard to understand. Upon moving to the U.S., when I had this government class, and they explained to us what the electoral college was, and still, I just couldn't wrap my head around like the point.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's say a state is divided 49-51. Like, how can that full state vote for one candidate?
Yeah.
And obviously, like, it's because, they want to keep the state sort of independent. Like, state of Texas vote like this, and state of Florida, we vote like this because we're unanimous, but, like, they're not. Yeah. So I feel like it's sort of outdated in terms that, that could have played a role in, like, the 1800s. I get that. Yeah. But now it's like it's a globalized world. It's a globalized country. Like, popular vote is so different.
I think the popular vote, person that wins the popular vote should win, and I'm American. But I think the theory behind the electoral college, that why a lot of people still like it, is that the theory is if it was only the popular vote that mattered, you would have the presidential candidates. They would only go to like New York, LA, Chicago. They would just hit the big cities and try to get as many people in those big cities, and that would be like a huge percentage of the American population, and they wouldn't really need to spend time going to like North Dakota or Nebraska. But when you have the electoral college, I think they're more like incentivized to spread out, but then you get a situation where the candidate that gets more votes doesn't become president, and this is something that's happened twice now to the Democrats.
Like, it feels like when you think about it, the scenario is like it's kind of unlikely that the percentage of someone that gets the popular vote doesn't become the president. It's sort of like the chance of that, or the risk of that happening is sort of small, you think? But still, it happens all the time.
I mean, I think Al Gore would have been a great president.
Same, definitely.
Hillary Clinton, I mean...
Probably...
Are
you American or what?
Probably would have liked her more than what we had.
No, definitely you would. But the thing is, if you think about all the things that happened during the George Bush presidency, Jr., obviously, like the war on terror, like 9/11, all that
you can't really blame it all on him.
Well, it's not his fault. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if Al Gore was the president, imagine, I'm not saying stuff would be better or worse. I'm just saying, like, so much shit went down during his 8 years, not because of him, but I wonder how different everything would have. Obviously not. But would Al Gore have declared war on terror?
I don't know. I think it was a pretty bipartisan decision at the time. Because they had the support of both sides to go in. But
that's also when I said 9/11, I thought about something else. Not 9/11 per se, just the way that you mentioned dates in America is different from I don't know if it's the rest of the world, but at least Sweden and Europe, because
it would be 11/9.
So when everyone went around saying 9/11, I was 6 when it happened. I just didn't really get it. Why did they say 9/11? It's 11/9, right? So that's something different too.
It's actually it's because I think when you speak verbally in English, you say September 11th. More often than you would see be the 11th of September. It would sound like
exactly.
we would say it that. So we write the date like you would say it. But from a sheer structure standpoint, it's weird to have the month first because that's like the middle unit. Right?
Yeah,
so the day is the shortest unit, then the month.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that makes more sense.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of like, it was really hard for me in my head when I lived there to like figure out like what date is this, or not figure out, but like it came so natural to me, like this is the 9th of November, but wait, no, it's not, like, and then when you add the year as well, like they put that before, they put that after, like it's a bigger problem than you think.
Exactly. All right, my first one for you is the weirdest thing that I don't understand is that it's so common here for people to have kids before they get married. And I don't understand why that is. Like I've tried to talk to people about the logic, and they're like, like I want to have kids and like make sure it works out all right before I commit to them with marriage. I'm like, wait. Shouldn't you like figure that out before you start bringing other people in?
Like, kids is like, that's how we measure like if we're good or not, if we're compatible.
Like how? Like that's so backwards in my mind. Like, what if it doesn't work out? You're like, oh well, no, we're just gonna share them part time. Like,
but I think the whole institution of marriage is different here. We spoke about it in an episode where I was like, I'm not gonna pop the knee anytime soon. We're talking about marriage, and someone was commenting like, "Oh, you're not in love, Fred." And I'm like, "All right, that's not what I meant." But I just think the whole marriage thing is different here, obviously, because in the U.S. it's a lot about doing it in church and promising in front of God, and like it's sort of like you have to do like in the religion, or for a lot of people, you're supposed to save yourself, right? So marrying a person is a way to just like, you're the one that I want to be with, and then we start a family. But here, marriage marriage is important here too, but it's like I think the timing is less important here, I think. And for me, I can only speak for myself, but I want to afford my wedding, you know. I want to budget.
So you think it's more from like the cost standpoint for a lot of people? Like
Could
for
be.
you yourself, you'd be totally fine having kids before you get married?
100%, yeah.
Huh. Yeah. And I would probably think that was very weird.
Yeah, but to me, it's like, all right, so I want a wedding that is it's like a big party, right? So I want it to be in a really cool location, and I want to be able to afford like the decorations that we want, and
you want your kids to be at the wedding.
Well, so I mean, I don't know, but like I didn't really think about that part, but I want to I want to be able to
babysitter for your own wedding.
What are you doing? What are you gonna do?
Well, I'm not doing that.
No, but like to me, I want to be able to invite like a lot of people. I don't only want my closest friends. I want it to be like a big gathering. And if I think about like when do I think that I'm going to be able to afford that, and if we're going to do kids after that, then we're talking about like years, right? And so I don't really think about it too much, to be honest. But I think I want to be married before kids, but I wouldn't mind having kids before.
Okay.
So
it doesn't play like a huge. I wonder if part of it is like, are people just more afraid of commitment here also, in a way? Like, people want to have a kid, but they'd also, like, they're like, oh, is this, like, the person forever? Like, is that
they want to keep the cake and they want to eat it.
Maybe. Like, I was thinking, like, maybe Americans are, like, more quick to, like, jump into things. And Swedish people might be, like, a little bit more reserved, maybe? Like...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that marriage is a huge commitment here. Like,
well, regardless,
it is everywhere. But then again, I think that the divorce rate here is like through the roof as well.
Yeah, it's the same in both. It's about the same.
Oh, it is. So you'd know. And no, I don't know, man. I don't know what the reason is. I just think that in the U.S., like the same thing with gap year. I feel like in the U.S., gap years, in my experience, is sort of frowned upon a little bit. Like, you're supposed to graduate high school, go to college.
Yeah, people are in a hurry to hit that next milestone. Milestone.
And then, like, you meet your wife in college or whatever, and then you get married a few years after. Like, I have so many friends on Instagram that does exactly that.
It's kind of like you're checking the boxes of like stuff to do. Buy a house, you get a dog, and then you get married, and then you have a kid, and then...
Exactly, Basically, and that was like... It's not a bad thing, I'm not saying that, but I don't think that framework exists in the same way in Sweden. I think it's not as frowned upon to want to do something else. And gap years are very common. But that leads me to my next point in my list, which is I put education system in depth forever.
Yeah, okay. Elaborate on that.
Well, basically what I mean is like a lot of people that I spoke to in Texas, they were like, yeah, my parents opened up the bank account the day they knew they were pregnant to be able to afford my college.
Yeah, that's pretty normal in the US.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's just insane because, I mean, the first of all, the parents that doesn't have the privilege to be able to do that or doesn't think that way, then the kids are forced to take out a loan to get any sort of further education.
Yeah.
And they will automatically be in a lot of debt going out in the work life. Yeah. And they start off life in debt, like kind of big debt. Yeah. And I just don't really get that mindset. It turns the college and the university institutions into like business corporations, kind of.
Totally.
And to me, like, education shouldn't be a business.
Yeah. Well, I remember like when I was in school, I really liked like biology, anatomy, physiology. I was a kinesiology major in my bachelor's, so sports science, studying the human body a lot. Mm-hmm. And I remember at one point I was potentially interested in medical school because I was really, really enjoying the coursework. I had some really inspiring teachers.
Cool.
And thought, wow, this would be cool. And I started to like really look into the numbers, and I was only 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was basically looking at it, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to have 4 years of college and 4 years of medical school, which is going to cost this amount of dollars. I think it was like 3 million crowns or something for the 4 years of medical school. And then you're also going to do your internship after that year, and then you're going to have like a 3 to 7 year, practical experience in your whichever specialty you choose. And I'm crunching out the numbers, and I'm saying, all right, and then I'll start working, and I'll have a great salary when I'm done with all that. But then I'm going to be paying off my debt.
Yeah.
So after I crunched all the numbers, I was like, I'm not going to break even on this until I'm 40.
Wow.
And I'm a 19-year-old at the time.
Wow.
And even though I was like, yeah, this could be really cool, but then it's like so stressful because it's like, what if you get like halfway through and you're like, this isn't what I want to do? Your life's like over.
Yeah, isn't that insane? That's also like the pressure of choosing your education when it costs that much money.
Yeah.
Like if my parents were like, all right, let's put our life savings into like your education, and here I am, 19 years old, barely knowing what my last name is, and like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, you need to think about this because you're going to put like 2 million crowns into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how would I ever be able to do that?
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends, what they did was they got business majors. So they really general, like bachelors of business, and they can like do whatever. But a lot of people like weren't happy, but they couldn't quit because they had all this money invested.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to say that, like what you just said about breaking even when you're 40.
Yeah, I was like, I've lived my whole life and I'm not even halfway to the point where I can actually start earning more.
Yeah.
Like if I choose this path, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't do it.
It's crazy. And then, grants and scholarships play into it. So colleges get to pick like the special talents and all that to like, we want you to go to our schools.
Yeah. Which
to me translates into, if you're one of the kids that doesn't get offered a scholarship, what does that tell you? Am I not special? I'm not like a talent? And to me, it's just like, it's a rougher climate.
It leads into this competitive atmosphere that we have in the US versus Sweden.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot more competitive in so many ways. Like even in like your freshman year of high school, your grades are still mattering for like what kind of colleges you can get into.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's so much I remember like I had like pretty decent grades in high school, so I was getting like letters from colleges already, like my freshman, sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
Must
have pretty good grades then.
Yeah. So it was, but it was still very like mind-blowing. Like, wow, I'm already supposed to think about this now?
Wow.
It's like as a 15-year-old.
You're so young.
Yeah.
To me, it just doesn't make sense. And I did, when I was in Texas, I did the senior year of high school, and it was constantly like trying to connect you to college. Like, what are you good at? Like, do you want to apply for like a soccer scholarship or like a theater scholarship? Like I was in drama class, and we did like this audition for colleges where we had to do like monologues, and they would like pick whoever. Like that's how I ended up in New York. A college like saw me there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you should come to our school." And it made me feel mad special. But then again, like I ended up paying a bunch of money anyway. So to me, it was like, all right, that was sort of a business trick, I guess. Like, they gave me a scholarship, and it was all cool. Like, oh, I got a scholarship, and then, all right, well, it wasn't a full ride. It was like
it was a partial.
not even. Yeah, it wasn't even half. It was like 25%.
Well, it's like these private schools that like they have like soccer players and stuff that attend the school.
Yeah.
And like the tuition might be $38,000 a year. And you get half of that paid for if you're on the soccer team. So then you're still paying $17,000 for the year. And you're like, sweet, I got 50% off because I'm an athlete.
Yeah, but
you're
still man. Like,
that's why I'm going to have Swedish kids. And like wherever I am in the world, I'm like, you're going to Sweden. Stockholm University, not a bad school. Man.
No, dude.
Not a bad school.
No, exactly. On paper, it looks the same. But then obviously that ties into like Ivy League schools and all that. Yes, an education from that is worth a lot, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what you say about like the competitiveness, because I mean, here in Sweden, going up to college and universities is a lot more laid back, like a lot. And you know, it's sort of almost encouraged, like, yeah, you should take a gap year, figure out what you want to do. It's not common at all for people to go straight from high school to college.
Definitely.
And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying like maybe Sweden would do good of getting a little bit of the American mindset into like being competitive and like performing.
Maybe, but I would say the trend in Sweden is probably going in the opposite direction from what I've like noticed, like being in
like less competitive.
Schools. Yeah. Like I was a PE teacher in Swedish schools, and it's like you're not supposed to keep score. You know, like, what do you mean you don't?
We need a loser, sir.
We need a winner and a loser. Like you have to compete. Like how are you gonna get better? You're like, no, you're not supposed to compete.
They're like, Stefan, who hurt you?
All right, next thing that's weird about Sweden is sort of like, I don't necessarily think it's weird now that I've lived here, but it's like the hugging culture, right? So like if you meet somebody for the first time, you shake their hand normally, right?
Yeah.
But then if you've hung out with them more than like 5 minutes, you're like, all right, we're in the hugging family. And it's hugs from here on out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very, very, like in America, like I guess it's a little bit more awkward because there's always like this sort of like bro hug, you know, where you're like going for the handshake first, and then you do the hug. Yeah, or like one of these like, you know, like one hand pat on the back.
You know that.
Let's do it. You're just like, it's like it's right here, and then like like one of those, and then in Sweden it's just like full on.
Come here, fam.
Yeah, exactly, and you know it could be somebody not like 5 minutes ago. So
it's interesting. I don't feel like it was like that, like me growing up. So like 15 years ago, I don't really remember it being hugs all around.
Yeah.
But then definitely like from 6 or 7 years ago, I sort of I've been a lot in theater and also in like sports. And obviously in theater, it was a lot more like hugging and openness and all. So there was a huge difference between those two. So I feel like, you know, in a soccer practice environment, like I wouldn't say it was that common to, you know, hug. Like it would be bro fists and still is. But yeah, well, when the friends and hanging out in town and like, I think it's really common to like. It's almost like a thing, like when you meet someone in just a few minutes. Oh yeah, we're in hugging terms. Come on, like it'd be weird, like shaking. All right, take care.
I guess I kind of like that. I like this more, I would say, because it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But like the weird one is like when you meet somebody from like France or Spain and they're like kissing you on the cheek.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Yeah.
I barely know you, and you're just like, I'm like, what am I supposed to do here?
And like, how many? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like,
in this country we do 3, and they're like still going. I'm like, shit. You know?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. Like I get like awkwardly uncomfortable when it comes to kissing on the cheek. I don't care if it's like a guy or a girl. It's more like. It's just the whole like, do I actually kiss you, or like do I just?
Or do I kiss the air?
Kiss the air, like what It's a lot harder to get.
Do
like,
I get called out? Like, Fred, you're going through the motions here. Give me a real kiss.
Do I start left? Yeah, like what do we do? And it's like doing a bro fist with someone that's not like used to doing a bro fist. And you like don't get the
best is when somebody goes in for a high five and you just give them a fist and just like it's like nice job.
You're like, we're not on hugging terms for this very reason.
It's out of sync. Right?
Yeah.
That's when you go in for a Tinder date the first time. You're just like,
you're like, peace. See ya.
Never fist bump your Tinder date.
No. Speak from experience. No, but it's no kissing on the cheeks.
Yeah.
My third point is I think I'm gonna go for religious contradictions.
Okay, in what way?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming from a dude I was raised Catholic and now
you're an atheist.
An agnostic.
Agnostic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice word.
Yeah.
No, what I mean is that a lot of people that I met, like I would say mostly in Texas, because that's way more religious. People would be really adamant about going to church on Sundays, and they would refer to God, and they wouldn't cuss in front of their parents. But like, I would see them Saturday night, freaking chugging a bottle of vodka, smoking 3 joints, and like making out with 3 different people. Nothing wrong with that.
Dude, that's why Christianity is the best. Like,
live your life.
You say some Hail Marys, and confession.
Yeah, I'm like, live your life.
All sins are forgiven.
But then like I see a Snapchat or
I'm gonna get hate for that. I'm just kidding, obviously. But.
No, but then I see like on Insta story the next day, they're in like Sunday church, right?
Yeah.
And if I look at their whole like Instagram feed or whatever, it's all about like there's always some Bible quote like Book of Job 7:14 or whatever, something, a quote, and then the whole feed is like it's really clean and it's a facade. It's a facade. Yeah, it's a facade. And me knowing them and seeing them like off the grid, like at parties and stuff, I guess you would call it like I see them sin all the time or whatever. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's
nobody's
really not
perfect.
But I just feel like it's sort of hypocritical and contradicting. Like I think their parents think that they're like this perfect kid, but then they just try to hide this other side of them. And I can't help myself but thinking that being torn like that in between those two, being like the youth, the child I want to get out and like party and have fun, then also no, I need church and I need to be religious and I need all this.
You said something super interesting about like the parent stuff, because this is something that is very different. I would say is like in the U.S. the kids sort of like hide stuff from their parents. I would say a lot of time. Not everybody. Like I had a really open relationship with my parents, but it's like pretty common like. For like, the parents go out of town, so they don't tell the parents, and then throw a big party while the parents are gone, sort of thing. Yeah. And in Sweden, it's like the parents go out of town so that the kid can throw a party. Yeah. They're like, here, have the house, have your friends over, Yeah. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. We're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. Have fun. The beer full fridge. The fridge full beer, and.
It's like the parents in Sweden understand the kids just want to have a good time, and they.
It's like their analogy is like, we know you're gonna do it, so rather I control it kind of thing. Like just let me know. Just feel like you can always call me if you fuck up or. And
I like that philosophy.
Yeah. If like everything goes to shit, then just call me. It's fine, But in America, like I would really see a lot of people hiding stuff hardcore from their parents. Yeah. And they would really tell me like, oh yeah, you can't say that when my dad's around. Yeah. And I'm like. I just said like, yesterday was fun. Like, yeah, but he thinks I was home. Like stuff like that. Yeah. And it would be like, wow, like this is a lot of lying going on. And I just think a lot of, people's religious like facades
can maybe contribute to that in a way.
Yeah, and it was really I couldn't help myself but to think that it was hypocritical. Yeah. And I'm not trying to disrespect anyone's beliefs, like definitely I met a lot of people who were really like good
devout Christians.
And we're like honest about it and we're just like open about it. And one good organization that I stumbled upon in Texas is called Young Life, and they were really like their mission was to involve people in Christianity through like having fun ish, but obviously not like drink and party, but like they would gather around, we would like play a lot of games, sing songs, and just like it would be a lot of people from freshman to senior year, and it would just be a really great atmosphere. And then they would read a little bit from the Bible like in the end of the session, but like that wasn't the idea of the thing, the main thing.
But they're just trying to promote like healthy
behavior, Christianity and behavior. Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was really cool.
I think that's
cool. But I remember thinking like, wow, like religion is hardcore here, but people wanna like tend the other way kind of.
The last one for me is the fact that there's a lot of like stores in Sweden and restaurants and things that just do not accept cash.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to a country before where they like don't accept cash. Sometimes like in the US you'll go to a place where it's like cash only.
Yeah.
And here you never see cash only unless you're like trying to buy drugs or something, which we don't do.
Which Fridays.
So it's like what did it even like have cash here for? Like what you can't it's like hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a limit to how much you can put in the bank at any given time?
Yeah. There are limits like how much you can put in your bank account, and then if you put too much cash through like a certain period of time, like the bank could contact you and like, hey, like
where did this come from?
Yeah, where did all this cash come from? Which obviously makes sense, but I think that has to do with Sweden being a lot smaller than the US, obviously, and a lot less people, and we're pretty fast, I feel like, and forward in digitalizing everything. Yeah. And I think in 5 or tops 10 years time from now, we're just gonna have our phones. Yeah. We're gonna like do the no.
Yeah. I already use Apple Pay for everything, so
when you use Apple Pay and
you can use your Apple Pay to buy your subway ticket. You can buy. The only time that doesn't work for me is when I go to the liquor store and I'm like, oh, my wallet's at home, and I'm like pulling up a picture of my passport on my phone. Yeah. Actually worked one time.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, and they're like, we believe you. Like, we've seen you.
I'm here all the time. It's you, Mickey. How you doing?
He's a regular.
Yeah. No, but. Exactly, and you do everything on your phone now, and I think that on the trains here they try to get rid of the subway cards or the train cards. Yeah, they like actually promote like get rid of it, use your bank.
I don't know how that works, because how can they check like how much time is left?
It's magic.
I have no
technology.
Idea. Like when you can use your debit card to buy your subway ticket directly.
Yeah, but I think it gets logged on the card. Like the ticket gets logged on the card.
On your bank card?
Yeah, on the bank card, because it's like the same technology, I think.
Okay.
I don't know, but I think so.
Huh.
Because I blipped twice in 70 minutes with Apple Pay the other day.
Yeah.
And it only charged me for one trip, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool, though.
Magic, bro. Yeah, but I think it's good. I like cash, but like, it's outdated.
It is outdated, and I think it's a good thing. But I also do find it weird that they don't accept it in certain places.
It can be really annoying sometimes. Sometimes they're like, we don't accept cash, we don't accept American Express, and only these sort of cards. And you're like, how am I supposed to pay at this place? Like, what?
We only accept gold coins.
Exactly. Only Bitcoin in the store.
Exactly.
Only Dogecoins.
Yeah. What's your last one?
My last one, actually, it is Army Mania.
Army Mania.
So I read somewhere that in the US they spend like 50 times more money. Like the budget on the army is 50 times larger than on schools and the educational system.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that.
I think we spend more than the next 10 countries in the world combined.
Yes, it's insane. Yeah. And it's like, I get it. Like it's good for world security or whatever. But like,
why do we need to take the responsibility to be security for everyone?
Yeah, well, that first of all, and like, why? I mean, you kind of brought it up on yourself. And there's some of the words like "stop," and you're like, "No." Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
I take no responsibility. I was just born there.
No, that's a larger discussion, of course. But like definitely like a lot of respect to people who've been in the army, who've been in wars. Like, not trying to disrespect them at all whatsoever. Because I had this discussion with a friend in New York once. And like he ended up like crying, and I was like, "Why are you crying? Like we're just debating the army." And he's like, "You're disrespecting my dead grandpa." And I'm like, "Jesus Christ, no, I'm not." Like, wow. And then I like sort of realized the way that he was looking upon it, and like I was trying to like give shit to everyone that enrolls in the army, and absolutely not. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that the way that the army is set up and all the money that goes into the army, that's what I think is weirdly prioritized. And when I would definitely accept like maybe twice more than the educational system, or like 3 or 4 times more, but like 50,
that's really crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, that's where the free college could be.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. And I mean, if you look at like these battleships and plain like the money that's in that, it's insane how much it is.
Yeah, and then like the government contracts for like all these things.
It's crazy.
Nuts.
And I think some back when I was in Texas, they told us that like if you can't afford college, then you can just go to the army, and when you're done, we'll pay your education. And I met someone at my college in New York, and he had a really nice apartment in the financial district that was like $2,600 a month, and the school was like $30,000 a year, and he was like, yeah, government pays for it.
Yeah.
He's like, I was in the army, and like when he introduced himself, like on orientation day, he's like, yeah, I'm Mike, like I'm in the army. Everyone just started clapping, and I'm like, what is happening?
I mean, we really look up to our service members, and I think they do
like
a very important job, and I think that's definitely good because
I like that.
We need people that are gonna fight for our freedom and stand up, because there's a lot of bad people in the world. And the fact that we have so many brave people that are on the front lines trying to protect, the freedom that we all care about.
That right there, that quote, like the people that fights to protect our freedom, I think it's really interesting because when I've been in discussions about this with other people from the US and also like Europe, that quote is the one that like sort of sticks with people in a positive and a negative way. It's like the negative way is like, what do you mean like fight to protect the freedom? Like that's so many big words. Like in a lot of conflicts that the US has been in, it's not about like protecting the US freedom. It's about like intervening, and it can be other interests like oil and influence in the area and like whatnot. It's so much bigger than just protecting freedom. And the positive side is the people that feel like, that's actually what we're doing. That's the idea.
And
that's
maybe
what we're
there is
do.
Sort of a slight propaganda spin on it.
Yeah.
When you're raised in America, because of course, like we have our own national interests. But like we're trying to protect and conserve our way of life. And defend it. Is the way that how else would I?
Yeah. Going back to like I think it was like the 50s or something. The idea was to not overthrow conservative dictatorships like China or the Soviet Union, but to contain it. It's a containment, right? So prevent the spreading of it, basically. And I do like that idea, and I do like that philosophy, and I think that a lot of people that enrolls in the army, their heart is in the right place. Like they want to do good service for the country, and I really respect that, and I think that is a cool thing to do. Same thing in Sweden, the people that enroll here, even though army life here is completely different, then I really respect the mindset, because you want to do something good for the greater good and for everyone in your country. But the army mania is so different. Like the army life and everything is just completely different in the US.
We take it to a whole nother level.
Whole new level. And I don't know, man. I can't really say it's because there's so many different aspects of it, but I do think it's insane the portion of the budget, the American government money that goes towards the army.
And I think it's sort of like a touchy subject to talk about also. Like Sweden has their political touchy subjects to talk about, but if you're, for like, why are we spending so much on the military? I think there's just like this prevailing attitude that we really need this, and that we're not going to be safe if we don't spend this money to protect ourselves.
Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm no expert. Like we usually say in this podcast, we're not experts.
It seems like we're more likely to like cut Social Security than we are to cut military spending. Which is nuts to me.
To me as well. But with that being said, like I don't know the current numbers, and I've never been in any sort of army, so I can't really like speak for anyone who's been in it, but that's just my view as an outsider, just looking in.
Definitely.
And just, it would be interesting to look up the actual numbers, actually, when I think about it.
Yeah, we should. We could probably do an in-depth comparison.
It's like Swedish American military.
But I think you had some really interesting points. I think you hit like the big ones that were like...
Schmeck. But I feel like there's so many more you can talk about. And I think this is an interesting way to talk about, just like bring up weird things and
So let us know what you guys thought was the most weird, and if you like the style of video where it's a little bit more like a list with discussion points, let us know.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to do more of this kind of
stuff. Yeah, we took a break from guests this week, but we do love our guests, and we've had 2 great guests these past couple of episodes, and we'll see. We might chuck another one on next week.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this one, and
see
we'll see you next time.